What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Baseball Now podcast. I'm your host, Mason Braggins, joined by Steven today, and we're talking about team records in this week's episode. Now, opening day weekend has just ended. We're getting through the first couple games of the season. So now is a great time more than ever to just dive in and give our predictions on how we think each team is going to do this season. We're going to kick things off. We're going to start with the American League, then work to the National League. So we'll start things off with the Baltimore Orioles. I have them going 71 and 91, somewhere around there. I I think they're getting last in the division again, but I think they're going to be just a little bit. I think they're a little bit worse than last season.
Yeah, I honestly like I liked the addition. I think I mentioned this in our last pod is that I like the addition of Pete Alonso, but it's just like their pitching though. That's the
Yep.
question mark. It's still very razor thin in my personal opinion. That division, I feel like everybody else got better as well. Don't sleep on the Rays. But yeah, I think with the Orioles, I'm gonna agree with you, Mason. I have them in fifth place. Again, you can check out our predictions, my predictions at Rockies Now, the affiliate page of Baseball Now. So yeah, I'm gonna put the Orioles in fifth. I just feel like they didn't improve enough. They're not gonna be horrible, but I just feel like they really didn't move the needle that much. Sorry, Orioles fans, but it just that's my personal opinion on that. So
Yeah. After the Orioles, then we got the Red Sox. I have the Red Sox going 87 and 75, somewhere around there, and taking second in the division this season. I think I don't know why. It's a worse record than last season. But as we get through the rest of the AL East, we'll talk about why I think I have them in second place. I just think they're just probably going to be a similar team to what they were last year. I think Trevor Story, I think, is going to have another fantastic year for the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox just have all the pieces in place to still just be a good team. Unfortunately, got knocked out of the playoffs first round, but I think they might be able to make a push this season.
yeah, and a lot of people out there really high on Garrett Crochet potentially winning the AL Cy Young Award. I mean, there's other names out there. Tarek Skubal, of course, is a
Yep.
popular one. Um, I had the Red Sox finishing third in the AL East. I feel like again we'll get to the Rays here in just a second here, but I think the Red Sox have a really good squad, and I think they could be a potential playoff team. And again, Mason, I think we can all agree that you can look at the top three, top four teams in that division alone, and those are playoff teams, right?
Oh yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
maybe not the Rays as much. I feel like they're kind of in a retooling mode, especially as they, and not only that, but they're going back to Tropicana Field, which is going to be awesome for a lot of
Yes,
the
we
Tampa
love
Bay
that.
Rays fans. And they don't have to worry about playing in a minor league ballpark or spring training facility.
Yep.
But yeah, for the Red Sox, I really like their team, like you said, Trevor Story, my guy. And I hope he has a good year
Missing
again.
here in Colorado.
Absolutely. Of course, we have Tovar here, and he had a great WBC.
True.
But yeah, no. The pitching staff again, they got Suarez, Ranger Suarez in that rotation as well.
Yep.
I like that rotation. It's deep. The lineup is scary as well. Roman Anthony, he's looking to have a hot year
Yep.
as
I
well.
drafted Roman
Um,
Anthony in my fantasy
in,
league.
in fantasy this year,
Yep.
yeah. Well, here's the thing, Mason, and for those who are listening, I forgot to do like
Ah,
baseball. So
Steven,
I know
no.
exactly. Well, here's the thing. It's funny because I do better in fantasy baseball than I do in all the other ones, and I guess right now, Mason, the only hope I have is in our March Madness bracket. But anyways, that's a
That's something
discussion for another
different.
time. That's something else something else. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, I had the Red Sox finishing third this year in the
absolutely.
AL East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next team in the AL East is the Yankees. I have the Yankees winning the division this year over the Blue Jays. We'll talk about the Blue Jays once we get there. I got the Yankees going 92 and 70, a little bit worse than last year, but still a 90 win team. I think they're going to be, one of those few 90 win teams. I think the competition across pretty much all of the MLB teams this season is much fiercer. I think we're going to see less teams hitting like that 90 win mark. I think just because of how many teams are competing to hit 90 wins. I think that's just kind of going to spread it out and flatten a lot of the
Mhm.
team's records outside of one team who we'll talk about later. But the Yankees, I think just a solid squad. We saw them. We're recording this on Thursday, so right after the San Francisco Giants and Yankees game on Wednesday, the 25th. Yankees shut out the Giants 7-0. to open the baseball season. And Max Fried was talking about how he has a lot of confidence in that team this season. Aaron Boone has a lot of confidence in the team this season. And I fully agree. I think the Yankees are definitely stacked. I think they're poised for a deep playoff run. I think more than they were in 2025. A lot of people thought they were going to run it back 2025 against the Dodgers in the World Series. They didn't make it to the World Series, but I think the Yankees definitely have a solid chance of getting back there this season.
Yeah, for me, I'm not as high on the Yankees as you are, Mason. I have them finishing second, um, simply because they really didn't do a whole lot. They kind of brought everybody back, but again, they still have Garrett Cole, who's going to be coming back this year. That's huge for them. Max Fried again looked great yesterday. Now you just
Yeah.
hope that the rotation stays healthy. That's been the big question for a lot of Yankees fans. Over the last couple of years, is injuries, of course. Previously with Carlos Rodon and everything. But that lineup, though, they got Javiero, I think, now part of their
Yeah.
lineup. He was playing yesterday. He looked really good. As a matter of fact, he scored the first few runs for the Yankees in the game yesterday. Of course, Ryan McMahon, former Rocky, he looked pretty good yesterday. Got I believe, a RBI single that was huge. So that lineup is scary,
Yeah.
really, really scary. And then
It's definitely
Stan,
scary.
you just hope again with Stan, you just hope that he's healthy as well because again, you look at spring training when he was saying that he could barely open a bag of chips, which was a funny comment on its own. But I think the Yankees, like you said, Mason, I have them in second place, but still, like you said, I think this is a team that's going to look to try to go back to the World
Yeah.
Series, play the
100%.
Dodgers or whoever in the National League. It's more than likely going to be the Dodgers. Just again, we'll get to that later.
Yep.
But the Yankees, they're not messing around this year. Obviously, Brian Cashman's done a great job
Yep.
as the GM, even though a lot of Yankees fans are wishing that he would step down or get fired as the GM over there in the Bronx. But no, I like the Yankees this year, but I'm going to put them in second place just because I
Alrighty.
feel like the team above them, which we'll talk about,
Yep.
is going to win that division. But again, let's move on.
Yeah, I think we both have this next team in fourth place, if I'm not mistaken, the Rays in
Yep.
fourth place, 77 and 85. I have them the exact same record that they had last season. I just I think they added a couple pieces. We talked about a couple of those pieces in our previous episode, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to really power through the rest of this really tough division, the
Hmm.
incredibly tough American League, if I'm going to be honest. There are a lot of really strong teams in the American League that I just think are going to be a barrier that the Rays won't be able to get over as much as they would like to. But I still think the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be a very strong team, despite the fact I have them at a losing record.
Yeah, again, like I mentioned, I think they're gonna get some momentum and some, better play because they're gonna be in their own ballpark again. The Tropicana Field. Again, I mentioned this multiple times before. I like Tropicana Field. I know that a lot of people don't like it just because of the location and how old it is and how outdated it is. But I don't know. There's something unique about that field, right? And then not to mention the bullpens are no, they don't have bullpens. It's really on the side of the field, and I think that's the last stadium to have that because the Coliseum, which is now pretty much, I mean, I don't think it's decimated, but I think it's still there, but they just don't use it. But yeah, you don't really see that in baseball a lot. But
Yeah.
yeah, with the Rays, they really didn't, push much. I feel like again they're retooling right now. They got a couple of guys. They got Gavin Lux coming over from the Reds, which we talked about last time. But
Miss you,
the
Gavin
Rays, I think,
Lux.
right,
Miss
former
him in
Dodger, by
LA.
the way. And everybody's tired of hearing Gavin Lux moving on, but and seeing what he can do. But no, they added some decent pieces, and we already know how good the Rays are developing pitching. They've done that pretty much their entire
Yep.
existence as a franchise. I think the Rays are going to be fun this year. It's just that I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but who knows? I mean, last year I picked them to be fifth in that division, and they surprised me. They finished fourth. So, I
There were a
mean,
lot of
Mason, we could.
surprises last season.
Yeah, a lot of it was a weird season last year. I don't know why. 2025 was just a weird year in general, especially for my Rockies. Maybe not weird, but you get the idea.
Right, I'm saying there were so many teams in the National League competing for that final wild card spot.
It was
That's
insane.
why I
I mean,
think too,
again,
like the last
we'll
month
talk
and a
about the
half.
Marlins. Yeah, the Marlins were near that in here. I thought the Marlins were going to be worse than the Rockies last year,
Well, yeah,
believe it or
and I'm
not.
just
But
like, what? I'll mention this very briefly. I'm just like, the team that made that final spot was the Reds
Reds,
over
yeah,
the Mets, over the Marlins. And it's
and the
like
Reds didn't spend
the
as much as
over the
Uncle
Giants, over
Steve.
the
Yeah,
Diamondbacks.
yeah,
It's like you never know what can happen in the MLB, and I think
it's baseball. Yeah,
exactly,
it's
and I think our this record that I have for the race 77-85, I think is a safe prediction, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go higher.
yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, I'm going to put the Rays as four as well.
Yeah. And then the last team in the AL East is the Blue Jays, of course. I have them in third this year.
Ooh.
I really just not because like yes, I'm a Dodgers fan. Yes, we beat them World Series. Not because I hate them as a Dodgers fan to a Blue Jays fan. I just don't think they're going to be mentally as a team prepared to be a
Like a
90 win
hangover?
team like
A
last
hangover,
season.
maybe?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I have them going 85, 77, and I don't
Mhm.
like I think they're just going to have that power creeper in their head where it's like, "Oh my gosh, we made it to the World Series last season. Let's go go go." Yes, they added a lot of great pieces in this offseason. I don't think it's going to be enough, and I think it's going
Mhm.
to be almost too much for the team, if that makes sense. We talked about Dylan Cease and kind of the absurd deal he got with the Blue Jays in our last episode. I don't think Dylan Cease is a good piece. I think Dylan Cease will probably have a good season, I think, coming out of San Diego, which is kind of a
Mhm.
difficult place to transition to and develop in. I think Cease will have a better season in Toronto. I just don't think he's the right piece that the Blue Jays need to continue to be a dominant team, especially losing Bo Bichette to the Mets in the offseason.
Mhm. Yeah, and I have a feeling that they might miss Bo Bichette quite a bit. But don't get me wrong, I think the guy that they brought over from Japan will be good.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think he's also there's so many. That's the cool thing about baseball. Again, we got to get moving here, but like we've seen so many Japanese players coming over, and the Blue Jays lineup is scary. It's arguably the best
Oh
in the
yeah.
American League. And it's just like again, Dylan Cease, can he have a bounce back year? Because again, he really was bad last year with San
Yeah.
Diego, and so you're really banking on him having a good year. Of course, the rotation is great. The bullpen, there's some question marks as well. I have the Blue Jays finishing in first place. I just feel like this is their division, and it's the Yankees, it's the Red Sox division to win. And I feel like
That's fair.
right now, for me, I feel like the Blue Jays are going to hold that. But again, I would not be shocked if like the Yankees or the Red Sox. The
Yeah.
Red Sox again. Keep an eye on the Red Sox. And if you look at the top three teams for my predictions, they could all be interchangeable, in my personal opinion. I think they're going to be
Yeah,
very
for
close.
sure.
As a matter of fact, I don't think the Blue Jays are going to win 100 games this year. I think it's going to be more in the 90s. I think this is going to
Mhm.
be a more competitive. That's what happens in baseball, right?
Yeah. It
So
just
that,
happens.
yeah,
I
it
We'll
happens.
talk
Yeah.
about later. I have one 100 win team this season. I think
Ooh,
there were no 100 win teams last season.
in all of baseball or the American League?
In all of baseball, I've one
And
100 win team
I know
across
what
the
that team
entire
is.
MLB, and I'm very excited. I think that team,
Yeah,
we'll talk about them later,
yeah,
is the team to beat.
yeah.
All right, moving on to the AL Central here, we have the Chicago White Sox. I'm sorry to White Sox fans listening to this. They're currently getting whooped by the Brewers. Today is Thursday
Yeah.
the 26th. They're getting whooped by the Brewers 14-1 right now. I have the White Sox being better by 10 games compared to last season, so 70 and 92 record. I really think that Munetaka Murakami is going to be a good piece for the White Sox. Now, obviously, coming from Japan and coming into the high intensity competitive field that the MLB is, again, not saying that there's not competitiveness in the Japan Baseball League. I talked about this on our last episode a little bit. It's like the MLB just has so much more of a high caliber pressure than other baseball leagues. And I think we're going to see that to start from this young Japanese star, uh, Murakami. But I think once he gets past it, he's going to be dominant and he's going to really help this White Sox team win games and feel like a winning team.
I agree. Yeah, I think that was a really good signing by the White Sox, and the Rockies were in the mix apparently, but I think this fits very well for them. I had the White Sox still in fifth place, and
Yeah,
I mentioned
obviously.
before we started, I'm not as high on them as I think some people are. I still think they still need another year, and then because if you look at the team wise, I feel like the Twins are slightly better, and here I think the Twins had a not very good offseason. I mean, they
Mm.
added Josh Bell, who is I think getting ready to retire. No offense to Josh. I mean, he was also on a list potentially coming to Colorado because the Rockies were looking for a first baseman. But I'm just not as high on the White Sox. Again, I'm not saying because they're losing 14-1 or whatever right now to the
Hmm.
Brewers here on opening day, I'm going to put them in fifth. No, I just feel like they're not there yet.
Mm.
Again, they lost 100 games last year, and again they
Yep.
improved by like what was it 20 wins, which is huge. I mean that's great, but I just feel like they're still not there yet. Now, don't get me wrong, Murakami is going to have a great year. I think he's probably going to finish in top three, top two in AL Rookie of the Year voting.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
my prediction for him. But really, I feel like he's their best player. And Chase Meteoroth, I mean, he hit a home run today, but just like there's just not a lot there, and the
Mm.
rotation is not very good in my personal opinion. I mean, I do like Shane Smith. I think he's their ace. And I'm not comfortable, Mason, with this White Sox team. So sorry, Tom, to our White Sox now affiliate. But I'm gonna have to put the White Sox here in fifth place. So maybe next year,
No.
I'll maybe put them in third or fourth. We'll see.
All right, the next team in the AL Central is the Guardians. I have them going 86 and 76, somewhere around there. I think they're winning. Actually, sorry, I have them in second place.
Hmm.
I think just because the Guardians is one of those teams where it's like it always seems like everything is there for them in some capacity. They always have like good pieces, great pieces, helping them win games. They're making playoff runs, and then it just kind of like falls apart at
In
some
the
point.
playoffs, yep,
You know what
yep.
I mean? I and I don't think they're going to have as strong of a regular season as last season. Again,
Hmm.
getting second place in my prediction in the division, but I still think they're being a playoff team. With 86 wins, I think that is still very doable with all of the playoff teams that are in the AL. But again, I think like what we talked about with the AL East is that there are three teams there in the AL East who are heavy playoff contenders. So, there might not really be a spot for the Guardians. I think
Hmm.
they really kind of need to lock it in. But I think kind of like that 86 to like 88 range, I think is kind of where they're going to end up being.
I agree. I have them in second place. I just, I they might be a playoff team. I think they'll be close to the wild card, but I think I only have one team in that division in the Central making the playoffs.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I wasn't a big fan of their offseason. They really didn't do anything except extend Jose Ramirez, who
Yep.
is one of the best third basemen. It's just like, why not build around him? I know the ownership is a problem there, and there's been some
Yeah.
topics about him selling the team, which he definitely should. I feel bad for Guardians fans, but yeah, I feel like they have a great front office though, like executives, scouts, and that's how they got great pitching. They drafted Shane Bieber and everything. But yeah,
Yep.
I'm going to put the Guardians at two as well, Mason. I just feel like, they're still going to be good. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like they're definitely not the best in that division. But
Yeah.
they're not bad. Again, they were in the playoffs last year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and
Or
they
the year
won the
before.
division
So
last year.
yeah, and so
And that
I
was
mean, who
only
knows?
because of this next team, the Tigers. The Tigers
Yeah.
fell apart a little bit at the end of
Hmm.
last season, but I think they're going to learn from that. I think the Tigers are definitely equipped to make a division winning season. Going 92 and 70 is what I have them. I think they're another
Hmm.
90-win team this season. I think, Tarek Skubal's what is this his third or fourth season?
Yep.
I think Tarek Skubal, entering his junior season with the Tigers is again obviously going to be a top three pitcher. He has been since he was a
Hmm.
rookie, and I think the Tigers just have plenty of pieces to really help Skubal win games when he starts games. I think the rest of the Tigers starting rotation is really solid. I think their offense as well is really strong. They're going to make a push. They're going to be the division winners this season, I think.
Yeah. Same. Obviously, my family. Both my mom and dad were born in Michigan, so I was kind of raised as a Tigers fan as well. And even though I'm not huge on the Tigers, I'm not a Tigers fan. I don't have jerseys or anything, but I'm always high on the Tigers. I usually drink the orange Kool-Aid, as they would call it, um, as well as the purple Kool-Aid. But no, I just like this is their year. I just feel like this is their division. Tarek Skubal, that rotation, they brought back Justin Verlander, which I thought was awesome. This is probably I think it's going to be his last year, I would assume.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's really cool that Justin Verlander is going to get one last shot with the Tigers. And who knows, maybe the Tigers are going to be a World Series contending team. I don't think they will, but I think they're going to try to go for a deep playoff push. Again, they've been in the playoffs the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I feel like this is an up and coming exciting team. I think one question for a lot of Tigers fans is Max Clark, going to make his debut
Mm.
this year. I'm high on him. I know some people aren't as high on him, but the Tigers, they have a very sneaky good team, a lot of younger players, which I'm excited for. And I think for the Tigers, you're a kind of a blueprint team for a lot of
Mm.
the up and
Yeah.
coming teams like the Rockies
Yeah, that's
and the
so true.
Marlins. And so I think this is a fun team to watch. So if you're just a baseball fan in general, or if you're trying to look into cheering for a baseball team, root for the
Tigers.
Tigers.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun team to watch. So
Yeah, Tigers
I
are
agree with
definitely
you,
a good team.
Mason. I have the Tigers in first place in the Central as
Um,
well. And I think they're probably going to win around 90 to 92 games
yeah.
ish. So
For sure. Yeah, I think this next team, the Royals, Kansas City, I have them just having a even split season, 81-81.
yeah.
they're kind of just one of those teams where it's like, I think if I was a Royals fan, like I'm, obviously sad we're not making playoffs, but it's like we're winning at least 80 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like we're having a even or winning season, and I think that's kind of all you can ask for from a team like the Royals. They don't really have elite pieces. They don't have like one standout player who's really helping them win games. They don't have like a couple people who kind of just like are
Yeah.
paving the way in that franchise. They're just like really
Y-
solid.
Well, I mean, they have Bobby Witt Jr. and then they have Vinny Pasquantino. But yeah, I mean, the rotation, I think they still have Seth Lugo there. And is Michael Waka still around the ballpark there in Kansas City? He might.
Mm,
Again, it's just like I feel like the Royals. I agree. I have them in third. Is there close to a 500-ish team for me as
yeah.
well? Um, I mean, I don't think they're that great. Again, they were in the playoffs a couple years ago against I think the Orioles, and then they won. I think I forget. It's been a weird couple years because again, last year with the Rockies, I kind of try to erase the 2025 season entirely. But yeah, the Royals again. I really don't look into them as much. I mean, obviously, maybe we should a little bit more, but it's just like they haven't. I mean, they still have Salvador Perez, who is one of the best catchers in baseball,
Yeah.
and he's starting to get up there. And but yeah, I mean their lineup, and of course Jack Caglione. I'm super excited
Mhm.
about him. Obviously, last year broke camp with the Royals, and obviously we already know how prodigious his power is, and I think he's gonna have a great year for them. So, but yeah, the Royals, I just feel like they're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
And again, I still need to see a little bit more from them to put them at number two or even number one. But yeah, for me, I just feel like they're kind of in the middle.
Right.
Again,
Exactly.
they might shock us, Mason. They might
Yeah.
shock us
You
and
never know.
finish first. You never know.
Yeah.
In that Central Division, it could be crazy. But I feel like if I had to put them as high as I could, I probably wouldn't put them at two. But I just feel like three is where we should
Yeah,
keep them.
exactly. I mean, like you said, they have Bobby Witt Jr., but we haven't really seen too much production elsewhere in the Royals franchise since adding Bobby Witt Jr. And it's just kind of felt stagnant for this team. So,
Yeah.
like we
Yep.
said, two at the most, I think is kind of like what we're thinking, but definitely that three spot I think is where the Royals are landing this season.
Mhm.
And then the final team in the AL Central is the Twins. I actually have the Twins getting fifth. Uh, I told Steven right before we started recording that I have the White Sox getting fourth in the division, Twins in last. I just don't think, especially after the trade they made at the end or right before the trade deadline last season with what was it, Byron Buxton, right? That's who. Yeah, I just think like it kind of all just fell apart. They traded away way too many pieces, way too many players that were helping them win games. I just don't think the Twins are going to have people who are going to help them
Mhm.
stay at least a kind of maybe winning team, maybe looking towards 80 wins kind of a team. I have them going 66 and 96. I
I think yeah, I think that's probably where I would put them as well. Again, for me at least, I didn't do record predictions at least in the American League. Maybe I should have done that, but I just did like rankings. But I
right.
mean, you look at their rotation, Mason. I mean, Joe Ryan, he could be an AL Cy Young contender, but the rest of the rotation is just like what?
Exactly.
Again, Bailey Ober, okay, I've heard him around there. Taj Bradley, I think he was from in the Rays organization, but it's just like, and then Simeon Woods Richardson, Mick Abel. I mean, like, is that like a World Series or playoff contending rotation? I
No.
don't think so.
No.
And then your bullpen, you do have Taylor Rogers, Justin Topa, Anthony Banda, a former Dodger, right?
Yes.
And
We
then
miss
you
you,
have
Bonda.
like yeah, Cody Funderbunk. I mean, it's just like what? Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. The only good
Yeah.
arm in that bullpen is probably Bonda. I mean,
Yeah,
him being on
exactly. I
the
mean, you
Dodgers,
you've seen him. Yeah.
Bonda is a
Yeah.
good long relief pitcher. That's probably all
Hmm.
the Twins really have.
Yeah, and like I look at the lineup, Josh Bell's your starting first baseman. I don't like that. No offense to Josh Bell. Again, good friend with Trevor Story. Both grew up in Texas.
I think Josh
Um,
Bell's just an aging player.
exactly. I mean, he's going to retire any year now. And then you look at their second baseman right now. They have Luke Keeschel. I never heard of him. I think he's a prospect. Royce Lewis, who is, again, he's had high talent, but
Yep.
we've seen him, Mason. He keeps getting injured and
Yep.
injured, so you don't know if he's going to stay healthy. Cody Clemens is the next guy up. Brooks Lee, who is a talented shortstop, but again, it's just like a lot of what ifs. And then, of course, James Outman's on that team, former
Also
Dodger.
former Dodger. Yep.
Yeah, and then Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton's your best player, and he's been having injury
Yep.
issues over the last several years as a player. So it's just like this Twins team, again, I have them in fourth. You have them in fifth, but I just don't like this Twins team
Yeah,
whatsoever. And I think
I think
we're looking. I
regardless of
mean,
where you put them in the division,
yeah.
I don't think they win over 70 games this season.
Well, I agree. Like and in some ways, actually, if I had record predictions, for numbers and everything, I would actually put maybe the Twins 1 or 2 games above the White Sox, and I had the White Sox losing like around 100 games again this year. So I'm looking at like maybe, I'm looking at the Twins having like a 95 plus loss season.
Yeah,
I just don't see it there.
yeah,
So
it's not
sorry, Twins
happening for them.
fans. I want to root for you guys, but it's just like I don't see it. I really don't
Yeah,
see
and
it.
it's like the Twins traded away everything last season to get Byron Buxton back.
Yeah, yeah.
Nah. Moving right along to the AL West, the Athletics, who said that they would have no affiliation with Sacramento this season and then made jerseys that say Sacramento on them. What are we doing?
Uh,
Everything's a mess over there, including their record. I have them going 62 and 100 this season. I genuinely think the A's lose 100 games this season. And I know.
what do you have them in fifth place?
Yep, I have them in fifth
Okay.
place in the division.
No.
They were fourth place last season, above the Angels. I think the A's just are a hot mess. I think the management relocation is going to be a big problem for everybody involved, regardless of how many young guys they have. I mean, they have Soderstrom, who we talked about last episode. They have Brent Rooker. Like, they have really good young
Nick
guys.
Kurtz,
They have
yep.
great pieces. I just think with all the stuff that's going on with the organization, it's going to get in the way, and the A's are going to be a 100 loss team this season.
I have them in fourth. I'm a little higher on them just because of the young talent that they have, and their pitching staff is decent.
Right.
I like some of the arms in their bullpen as well. Like their arms are great. It's the lineup is question. And again, for those who don't know or haven't been keeping up with the A's as much, they are still going to be playing in Sacramento this year, which is just weird. And they're playing in whatever in the stadium. Whatever.
I think it's so weird that they
Sacramento,
moved instead of just staying in Oakland
or just stay in the Coliseum until you have a stadium
exactly.
built.
You know,
It's just I know the Coliseum was a dumpster fire. I understand that, and there's like rats in the dugout it's just like it was so bad. But just like play at a better place because it just with the A's, I have them in fourth. I think that, they're going to be a better team than, I guess. Yeah. Do we want to jump to the Angels, or do you have another team we want to talk about before we get
I
to
mean,
the
in
Angels?
between the Angels, I'm just kind of go like an alphabetical order in each division because that's how it's just like by default arranged, when everybody's 0-0 kind of a thing. So the Astros are next. I have them getting second again this season, a little bit worse than last season, going 84 and 78. I think it's just kind of one of those teams where it's like they didn't really do too much. They added the star Japanese pitcher.
Amaya.
Who I think is gonna be a great piece, but I think kind of their offense I think their offense is aging. I don't think we're gonna see a lot of power. I mean, I think of players like Jose Altuve who've been in the league for over a decade, and it's kind of just like Alvarez also been in the league for over a decade. It's like those guys are probably just a few years away from retirement, and obviously, I mean, I love it when players stay in one city for their entire career. Like a player like Clayton Kershaw, spent all 18 years of his career with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Todd Helton. Yeah.
Yep. Todd Helton, all of his years with the Rockies. It's like Jose Altuve has spent his entire career in the Astros organization, but it's like, when is his hot-headed fieriness going to die out? You know what I mean? And I think I think the Astros are slowly just going to decline if they don't add a lot of pieces, but they're still definitely going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, I have the Astros in second as well, Mason. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm not going to spend too much time on the Astros. It's just Hunter Brown. I'm excited for him. He could be also a Cy Young candidate. I mean, he's young. I think he's going to be their next. I mean, he's their next ace over there. It would have been interesting if the Astros would have brought Verlander back, but I'm glad that the Tigers picked up on him.
Yeah,
I don't like the Astros,
sure.
just like you, Mason. I just don't like the Astros. But yeah, I'm curious to see what their office is going to do. Of course, Carlos Correa, first full season back with them because last year he got traded over.
Yep.
And we mentioned it just a few minutes ago how the Twins traded Correa back to the Astros, which for the Astros kind of didn't make sense because I think like they already have Jeremy Pena, but then whatever. It's another discussion, but yeah, I mean their lineup is decent. Again, they have what's his name, Yanier Diaz is their catcher.
Yep.
I like him, but the Astros, they're in my personal opinion, they're not the best team in that division.
No.
But I think they're definitely a playoff contending team for sure.
Oh, for sure. for sure. Yeah, the next team, the Angels. I have the Angels getting fourth. The division,
Hmm.
obviously, still a losing team, going 74-88. Um, I don't know. There was something about the Dodgers and Angels play a 3-game series at the end of spring training. It's called the Freeway Series.
Yeah.
Um, the Angels looked like they had a little extra fire in them. I don't know what it was,
Yeah.
but there was something about that this Angels squad that I think is gonna fight a little harder this season. I think we're gonna see the young guys on the team really emerge as leaders. I think the young guys in the Angels organization are going to try and bring a winning mindset to this team. I mean, we have Mike Trout, who has been injury ridden the past couple of seasons, but I think from what I saw in the Freeway Series, I think it looks like he's back in full strength. It looks like Trout is ready to go. I'm excited to watch him. A fan favorite player growing up. He was one of those great all star players when I was in elementary and middle school, along with many other players that I could list. But I again, the Angels don't have a lot of pieces outside of a couple of their young guys and Mike Trout really, and Mike Trout is ending his career in the next few seasons.
Yeah. You just feel bad for the guy.
Yep.
Only been to really one playoffs postseason in
Yep.
his career, which is just insane. Yeah, no, I actually, this is where I kind of slightly disagree with you, Mason. I actually had the Angels in fifth. I just, I know that they spent money this offseason. They got Grayson Rodriguez, which is more of like a project signing. I feel like they're just going to work on him. I just like I feel like for the last decade or more than a decade, the Angels have tried to get pitching, 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 and it just
Mm.
never works. And of course, we mentioned very briefly last time they have arguably one of the worst owners in sports with Art Moreno. That guy is he's kind of like Palpatine. He puppets that entire organization. Their 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 GM is bad as well. I just do not like the Angels. It's just like I feel like we've seen this movie so many times before. It's just like, hey, we got this guy, and it's just like I
Mm.
really, I mean, I feel like the last time the Angels were actually kind of fun to watch is when they had Cole Calhoun, of course, healthy Mike Trout. They had Kurt Suzuki, who is their manager this year, and it's a 1 year deal. I feel like they should have gone for a guy that
Mm.
perhaps maybe. I listen. I love catchers being managers. They're great managers in the history of the sport. I mean, you look at David Ross. He was a great manager for Chicago, I thought, before he was oddly removed and then replaced with Craig Counsell. But I don't know, Mason. For me, I don't like the Angels that much. I just really don't. And with Mike Trout and his injury history, and is he going to stay healthy for a full year? And of course, we already know how good he is when he is healthy, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he's one of the best
absolutely.
players
All
in
star
the game. I
caliber.
mean, well, it's must watch TV exactly, and he's like you said, all-star caliber. But I just am not feeling it for the Angels this year, and I just feel like it's almost like they're cursed. I'm gonna use that word. They're cursed. So I'm gonna have the Angels in fifth place. I'm
Okay.
sorry, Angels fans. I don't think they're gonna lose 100 games. They're not,
No.
but they're probably gonna lose around 90 or so games for me. I think they're gonna be like a 72, 90 win, or I should say 72 to 90
No.
record team. I just am not feeling it for the Angels this year. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I just feel like this is this is their basement, and this is the basement. They belong in the basement in this division. But again, I feel
Uh,
bad for Angels fans because it's just like as a Rockies fan, I feel your pain. But it is what it is.
all right, the next team, the Mariners, obviously winning the division. They had a dominant uh, postseason, I would say. It kind of fell apart, looking a little shaky at the end of the regular season, dropping the division title. Or, sorry, oh my gosh.
The championship series, yeah.
Yes, yes, dropping the championship series. But I have them going 91-71, another 90-win team. I think the Mariners just look absolutely incredible. Like we saw it last
Hmm.
season. The year before, in 2024, um, the Mariners were eliminated from playoff contention, but were still a over 80 win team in 2024, and then kind of just like shocked everybody.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like you kind of forget that it's like, oh yeah, they were a winning team that season. They almost made playoffs.
Hmm.
Like the season before or the couple seasons before they win a division kind of a thing. I think the Mariners shocked everybody last season, and they're gonna run it back. They're winning the division again this season.
Yeah, I have them winning the division as well. Again, I just feel like they're gonna probably go on another deep playoff run. They brought back Josh Naylor. They have one of the best players in baseball. That's fun to watch. A lot of younger kids love him. I love him, Julio Rodriguez. I
Yep.
think the Mariners again, they're going to be a fun team to watch, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do this year. But yeah, I have them running it back in the AL West this year. This is their division now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not the Astros, even though the Astros, like I said, are going to be playoff contending teams. But this is by far the best team in that division. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna put the
absolutely.
Mariners at first. Yeah.
And then the last team, the Rangers, just smack dab in the middle of these conversations. There's always that one team that's kind of just like middle of the road. You know what I mean? And the
Yeah,
Rangers,
that's the
the,
definition of the Rangers.
exactly. And it was like, that's the Rangers. I think they've always
Yeah,
been mediocre since they won the 2023 World Series. I
yeah.
have them a worse record than last season, going below 500,
Mm.
78 and 84. I just think it's one of those teams where it's like they didn't really do too much in the offseason. I mean, what they went out and got Mackenzie Gore.
And that trade
Um,
with the Nationals. Yep.
but he's a great pitcher, but it's like again their offense is aging. They didn't really add too many important or strong pieces to the offense. It's kind of just one of those teams where it's like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, they again they lost Marcus Simeon to the Mets, and yeah, I mean you're talking to a guy that's actually did pretty well with them,
Yep.
and they were expecting Marcus Simeon to stay there long term. With Corey Seager, again, if you remember, they both signed the Rangers signed both players in 2022, I believe, right after the lockout. But yeah, no, I agree. The Rangers are very much like a mid team for me. I think they might be a decent, quite a fun team to watch, but it's just like we'll see what happens with the Rangers, but they're not a playoff team on my mind. I think they're more like a 75 to 80 win team I have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, moving things on. We're moving into the National League now. We wrapped up the American League, kicking things
Mm.
off. National League East. We'll just start from the top. The Braves. I have them going 500 this season, 81 and
Oh, wow.
81, a little
Okay.
bit better than last season. I think it's one of those teams where it's like, who was it that we talked about in the last episode who signed with them, and he signed with them because he was like, oh, they're a playoff team.
Oh, shoot. We're gonna have to go back and watch that.
Frick,
I know who you're talking
hold
about
on. Let me
because
just pull up the doc.
well, I know that they brought up Ha-Seong Kim, where they signed him from the Padres, and then they brought in Mike Yastrzemski. I think it was a pitcher, if I'm not mistaken, Mason. It
Yep,
might have
I'm
been a
pulling it up
pitcher.
right now.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna I guess for my Braves pick, I'm gonna put the Braves in second place, Mason. I feel like the Braves are gonna improve drastically from last year. Last year again, if for those who remember last year at the second half, the Braves were really good in the second half. Of course, we already know how bad they were in the first half.
Yep.
I feel like the Braves are gonna have a bounce back year. Again, Ronald Acuna Jr., one of my favorite players to watch. Again, 99 overall player. I feel like every year in the MLB The Show. And obviously, I mentioned to Mason yesterday that like I don't play MLB The Show anymore just because it's just like the same game over and over. But if I improve the game, or if I had to have a player on my team, is Ronald Acuna Jr. No
Oh yeah.
question. But yeah, I have the Braves in second place. I think they're going to
Wow.
be. I have them as a potential playoff team, getting back to the wild card. So I'm going to put the Braves in second place. And wait, where did you put the Braves, or was it
I
in
have the
third? Or
Braves in third.
okay, okay.
Going 81. It's Robert Suarez is who it was.
Right,
The
yeah, that's
Yep,
it. I knew it was a
yeah,
pitcher.
the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
closer from the
The
Padres last
Padres.
season. Yeah, I quoted him in our last episode saying that's like he signed with the Braves because he saw the playoff potential outside of
Hey,
last
he's a
season,
good closer, but
obviously.
I just yeah.
And I'm just like I don't see the playoff potential for the Braves right now. I
Okay.
really think
Okay.
it's like that they have Acuna, they have Albies, now they have Robert Suarez bolstering that bullpen. But I don't think they've really had playoff potential since giving Freddie Freeman to the Dodgers. I think after the 2021 World Series, I think it's kind of just been a downhill slope, a slippery downhill slope for the Braves. Now, I think they're bouncing back a little bit this season. I don't think they're going to go to the playoffs this season, but I think they're going to be one of those teams that's like, okay, we're going to watch you. We're going to see
Hmm.
where you guys go with this.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
All right, the next team is the Marlins. Now, the Marlins, shocking that they were even considered for playoff contention last season.
They were actually kind of decent. Believe it or not.
Considering the fact they went 79 and 83, a losing record. I have the Marlins getting fourth this year.
Yep. Same.
75 87, a little worse than last season. It just feels like the Marlins are one of those teams where it's like it's like the squiggly graph, it's like the one that says like we're so back, it's so over. You know what image I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Marlins is that team. It's like where they
Yeah.
have the high highs, the low lows, everything in between. And it's just like,
Yep.
what's happening? They're kind of just like middle of the
Mhm.
road. Nothing's really happening. I have them kind of a little worse than last season because Kyle Stowers, who was this shocked me. The All Star game last season, they did like the home run derby to decide it since it was tied.
Why did they pick him? Why
Dave
did Dave
Roberts
Roberts
said
pick him?
Kyle Stowers and he hit some home runs. I was like, okay, this kid can hit.
Yeah.
Let's go, Kyle Stowers. I have him on my team in some MLB game. It's not the show, it's like some mobile game. But
Yeah.
it's like Kyle Stowers is a young guy. He's got good potential. He's unfortunately starting the season injured
Yep.
this year, which I think is the reason why I bumped the Marlins down a little bit from last season because like they have their big young guy. They're not going to have him for a month, maybe 2
Mhm.
months, which is I think really going to affect the record. You know, when you don't have your aces, you don't have those pieces. That definitely bites into your record quite a bit.
Yeah, I really like Owen Casey, who they brought over from the Cubs in a trade. The rotation again, they still have Alcantara, they still have Yuri Perez. The Marlins, I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna put them in fourth place. I don't think they're gonna be great this year by any means, but I do have them maybe around 70 wins this year.
Yeah,
And I just feel like last year it was just a weird. Obviously, the Braves. The reason why I have them, the Marlins dipping down a little bit is because I feel like the Braves they're
mm,
gonna be better this year. Therefore, it's counterintuitive. So the Marlins again, they might be a decent team to watch. I think last time I said they might be a fun team to watch, especially with some of the younger players that they have. But that lineup still is just like not pretty.
yeah,
A lot of like, hey, let's see what this guy does. Kind of like the Rockies a little bit.
right.
The rotation is obviously I think is going to be a good watch. And then again they brought in Pete Fairbanks from the Rays to be their closer. I like that move, so they might be able to get a couple more wins. But other than that, this team. If they didn't have Pete Fairbanks and maybe like some of their guys in the rotation, this is probably a 100-loss team here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so the Marlins, I'll put them in for it as well.
Yeah. Next team in the NL East is the Mets. Yeah, baby, it's all about the Mets, or however that one meme goes. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. I have the Mets.
Or like the Family Guy. Again, one of my favorite clips of all time is the Family Guy meme where Stewie is sitting and he wears
Yep.
them hats, and the first pitch and the season's over, and he slams down his Mets
Yep.
hat. So just want to shout that
but
out.
the Mets, I've got
Yeah.
them getting second place in the division this year, going 83-79. Same record as last season. I think they did so much work this off season. I don't
Mhm.
they were involved in everything. We talked about this last episode with the off-season activity. They did so many trades, picked up a lot of free agents. There was a lot that happened for the Mets. They have a lot of fantastic pieces. Obviously, I think the big thing is kind of be like, okay, how is Devin Williams going to fit in? Obviously, they let go Edwin Diaz, brought in Devin Williams to be the closer.
Mhm.
So that's going to be like, obviously Devin Williams is a fantastic closer, no question about it. One of the best in the league right now. It's just going to be like, how's he going to fit into New York? And how are all these other people who they're bringing in going to fit in New York? Where are players' playing time going to go? Which I think of like Bo Bichette, who plays shortstop, and he will start there until Francisco
Mhm.
Lindor's back. But it's like where do we put Bichette? We talked about this a lot last time, but they have a lot of depth. Yeah, there's a lot of like just
Mhm.
clogging up in a lot of their positions. So it's kind of just like, how are we utilizing everybody? I think is the big question, and I think they're just going to have another
Mhm.
solid season, maybe making the playoffs again. Mentioned this right at the beginning of the episode. The Reds made that last wild card spot over the Mets last season, but I think the Mets are definitely going to have another playoff season.
Yeah, I agree. I have him in third, right behind the Braves. Again, this could be interchangeable, but I think yeah, like you said, they're gonna be kind of like one of those teams that hey, let's see what you do.
Hmm.
I don't think they're the best team in that division, obviously, but again, they let's not forget they brought in Freddie Peralta, who started today,
Yep.
made his Mets debut. Maybe not the greatest. Again, you're playing against the Pirates. No offense to Pirates fans, but um, it is opening day. But listen, they were one of the most active teams in the offseason, even though it was more later than the earlier offseason. But yeah, they made the moves that they needed to make. Obviously, they
Yeah.
still have Soto in that lineup. It's still dangerous, but I just don't feel like this is a World Series contending team. I feel like again the Mets, they lost a lot of people, not only in the organization but in the front office as well. And a couple of the Rockies, the Rockies brought in a couple of the Mets guys into the front office. So I'm curious to see what happens here with the Mets. Again, I agree with you, Mason. They're going to be a playoff contending team. I just have them in third place
Okay.
rather than second place, but we'll see. This is still a good team. Maybe
Yeah.
not a great team, but still a pretty
Yeah.
decent team.
But this next team is a great team. The
Yeah.
Phillies. I have them a little bit worse than they were last season, 93 and 69. Again, I think just kind of like that age thing where it's like they didn't bring in too many young guys. They just kind of re-signed a lot of their veteran players.
Hmm.
So, obviously that age is in there, but they still have Kyle Schwarber. They
Yeah.
have Trey Turner. They have Bryce Harper. They have JT Realmuto, a really solid catcher and a great bat. It's like they have all these great pieces. Again, I think a little bit in retrospect, kind of like the numbers I put here, kind of an insane gap. I have Phillies winning the division, obviously, and the Mets in second place, 10 games behind them, which
Hmm.
is kind of absurd.
Yeah.
But I still think, Phillies are easily taking the division once again. They're going to be another team to watch in the NL
Yeah.
title chase.
Yeah, well, Stephen A. Smith, was it? I saw this morning or yesterday on Instagram. He said this is got to be their year. At some point, you're gonna have to. Hey,
Wrong. Dodgers are going to the World Series again.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, it's just like the Phillies. I feel like ever since 2022 in the World Series when they lost to the Astros, it's just like, okay, maybe 2023 is their year. Well, then it was Arizona, and Arizona beat the crap out of them in the ALCS,
Yep.
right? And it's just like, when are we going to see it? Like, the Phillies have great seasons, and then they just falls apart in the playoffs, kind of like the Brewers we were talking about. And I forget the other team we were talking about in the American League. The Guardians. The Guardians. It's just like they have great regular seasons, great numbers, and then they just fall apart in the
Yep.
playoffs. That's the Phillies. And again, last year, that final play in the division series against your Dodgers. I mean, it's just
That
like
that scared me so much. That scared me.
I think we were texting back and forth, if I'm not mistaken, right after the game. I'm like, bro, I feel bad for the Phillies pitcher.
Like
Was
it
it It
that
was Kirkering, right?
sucks. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. That sucks as a pitcher so much, but I was like, "Oh my
Oh man, I'm
gosh."
like, dude, I was so mad at him, but I'm like, I felt so bad at the same time because it's just like you in your mind at that play, it's just a million things are going through your mind
Yep.
right now, and it's just like obviously he should have tried to throw to first base because you had the out there, but
Yep.
then he like threw it to home. I'm like, well, you should have not done that. But obviously
Yeah.
adrenaline,
It's
that gets you.
like
But yeah,
I think the Phillies are truly the only threat to the Dodgers in the
I agree.
playoffs.
I
I
agree.
think the
Yeah.
Phillies are the scariest team that the Dodgers have had to face in the playoffs. In
Hmm.
2022, they faced off in the divisional series, I'm pretty sure, and the Phillies whooped us.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
or it might have
Yeah.
been, it was a team that Bryce Harper was on, the Nationals or the Phillies. I don't remember what year it was or when it was. I just remember it was a team that Bryce Harper was on. And,
I want to
and
say 20. Yeah, I think 2022. The Dodgers played against the Padres, and I think it was the Dodgers and Phillies in the NLCS. I think
something like
we
that. I
we
don't
we
know.
have yeah, something like that. Yeah, we'll have to go back and look.
But yeah, the Phillies are going to be one of those teams in the National
Hmm.
League that is going to be one of the ones to beat.
Yeah.
And then the team in fifth place, I think for both of us, is the Nationals.
Yeah.
Oh golly, um,
Where do we start?
there are so many problems with this team. I it's
I
they
mean, they're playing great today, but
yeah.
again, it's opening
It's-
day. It's opening day.
Yeah, I don't think we should take. I mean, we shouldn't take opening day as a sign of how
Yeah.
it's going to go. I mean, they beat the Cubs 10-4 today,
Hmm.
but it it's just like they're the team in this division. They're the laughing stock of this division.
Yeah.
And
Well, like
I
it's
have
just like
them losing 100 games this season.
yeah. Well, in like I think I mentioned this in our Rockies Now prediction episode. Go check that out over at Rockies Now. But um, I mentioned that my hot take is that the Nationals have a worse record than the Rockies do,
I
and I
agree.
think
I
that's
100% agree.
I just do not like. I scratch my head. Why didn't you keep Mackenzie Gore for at least for another year?
Yep.
And then not to mention, you just drafted Dylan Cruz, who was one of the best college players a few years back in LSU with Paul Skeens, by the way.
Yep.
And now there's questions about Dylan Cruz. Is he a bust? And it's just
Yeah.
like it's all breaking loose in Washington right now. And I
Yeah.
really do think that this could be a really, really, I mean, a really bad year for Washington. Now, again,
Yeah.
they looked great today. against the Cubs. But again, it's opening day. Not to mention the weather is kind of nasty in Chicago right now. If you were watching the game today, it's just like it's opening day. You never
Yeah.
know. Um, but their rotation is horrible. I think it's actually worse than the Rockies rotation here. I think the Rockies
Oof.
rotation is not very good at all. But like their best pitcher, I think, is Cole Irvin, right? I think he's their ace. But other than that, like they brought in Michaelis, who is arguably one of the worst pitchers over the last few
Yep.
years in baseball. I'm like, and he's your number 2 guy. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Their bullpen is not very good. Their lineup is shaky, and now there's talks about them trading C.J. Abrams, who at one point was a high guy, a
It
former
is. I
Padre.
I think the
Keeper
fact that they're
Ruiz, a Dodger prospect.
yeah.
Yeah, so
I think the
he just
fact
yeah,
that they are considering trading Abrams, I think, is very evident of where this team is going to go.
yeah. They're
CJ
gonna
Abrams
have to
is a
go through another
great young
rebuild. Yeah,
player. He's a
yeah,
fantastic young player. I almost drafted him this season in fantasy baseball because of just like the numbers he puts up for this team. But it's just like you can't trust this team.
no,
Like I think
yeah.
what they made a late playoff run in 2019, I think is what it was. And
Won the
then
World
they
Series that
traded
week. Yeah,
then
yeah,
they traded Bryce Harper, and it has been
yeah,
a pile of hot garbage since trading Bryce
yeah.
Harper.
Yeah, I mean they've had a few decent seasons, but really they haven't been relevant since they won the World Series in 19.
Yeah.
And when they had Juan Soto.
Yep.
Again, funny enough that Bryce Harper, like that's the first year Bryce Harper was not with the Nationals.
Yep.
But yeah, it just I feel bad for Nationals fans and that they're probably going to have to go through another rebuild. Now
Yep.
again, I do like the addition of the front office. So they brought in a lot of younger people. Of course, they have the youngest manager in the game right now. I forget his name, but he's like in his 30s, which is good for the game. I think it's great to
Yeah.
have younger people in the game. But at the same time, though, he's going to obviously like the Giants manager with Vitello, right? That's his name with the San Francisco Giants. There's
Yes.
going to be a year where he's going to have to learn the system, learn how to be a Major League Baseball manager, which is one of the most difficult things to do, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you talk about some of the greatest MLB managers; they've been in the game for a very long time. This new guy, this is his first time, so this is going to be, I think, a very challenging year for the Nationals.
Hmm.
They might have a few, good, couple weeks during the regular season where they might go on a run here, but I'm looking at this team. I'm looking at potentially a 110 loss team,
Oof.
at least that. I
Yeah.
really do think, and I again for like, we'll get to the Rockies here, but yeah, I just have the Nationals being the worst than the Rockies this year. So
Now
that's my
I
my
think
bold
I
pick.
have the
Yeah,
Nationals as the worst team in the MLB in my predictions
yeah, I
for
think
this
so too. I
season.
think I'm gonna put them. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. We're gonna keep it moving here. Going to the National League Central. Kicking us off the Cubs. I have the Cubs winning the division this season.
Yep,
I think
I do too.
mainly because the Brewers. We talked about the Brewers a little bit in our last episode with them trading away Freddie Peralta. I really think that's going to take a hit to the Brewers' starting rotation and their ability to
Hmm.
produce quality games. Whereas the
Hmm.
Cubs were incredible last season. A 90-win team, which was kind of crazy considering the fact that they were kind of just they won the World Series in 2016, kind of faded into a little bit of irrelevance, and then had an
Hmm.
insane season last season. And I think they're going to continue that train, going 95 and 67 this season. I think is what I have them at. They have PCA. They have Nico Horner. They have a great starting rotation. Seiya Suzuki's in there. They have so many amazing players on their team that are going to push them into a great playoff run.
Yeah, I think that's where I have them too. Again, I didn't do record predictions for the American League, but I think I did for the National League, and I think that's right around where I have the Cubs at. Again, I have them at first place, so I agree with everything Mason said here. I just feel like this is the Cubs here at
Yep.
number one. Again, the Brewers. We'll talk about them momentarily, but like, yeah, this is like the Cubs. Obviously, this is a great team, and I think they're gonna. They might go for deep playoff plays. Other than the Phillies, I would say the Cubs are the next team to watch out for.
Oh
Obviously,
yeah.
again, winning the division, it's going to be like we'll talk about the Dodgers here as well, but like it's going to be Phillies and Cubs going against the Dodgers in the division
Oh,
series.
100%.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
And I almost my National League Central is actually the first to fifth is almost in alphabetical order by their cities.
Okay.
The only difference here is I have the Brewers from
Hmm.
Milwaukee in second instead of the Cincinnati Reds in second. Got the Reds
Okay.
in third, just an even 500 season. I don't think they're making the playoffs this season. I think they're going to be a middle of the road team, kind of how they were last season. It was surprising to see them in the playoffs.
Hmm.
But seeing them make that wild card spot, I think I mentioned this. I don't know if I left it in the final cut of last episode, but I mentioned
Yeah.
it's like, oh, hallelujah, we're playing the Reds in the wild card round.
And it was like a spring training
Yeah,
exhibition series. That's really what it
we blew
was.
them out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like I
Yeah.
think the Reds are just going to be a mediocre team. They're not going to be a playoff team.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm gonna put the Reds at 4.
No, do you have the Pirates above them?
I'm now this is where I'm if I may say again, opening day, I get it, but the Pirates they did not look good today. Again, their offense I think will be better though. Again, we'll get to the Pirates, but with the Reds in alphabetical order, with the Reds, I think I have them. Okay, so I do have a record prediction for them. I have them at 79 and 83. So they're going to be a right around 500
Yeah.
team. And so yeah, I just feel like they're going to slightly decline a little bit. Listen, I like that they brought home Eugenio Suarez, obviously legend last year in the playoffs when the Mariners went
Yep.
all the way to the ALCS. But it's just there's some question marks in that rotation. Again, Hunter Green, love him. I mean, exciting young pitcher for them, but it's just like of course
Yeah.
Ellie De La Cruz. Obviously, he's much watched TV.
Yeah.
But the Reds, I just feel like they're gonna kind of take a step back here. I'm not saying last year was a fluke necessarily, but again, like you said, Mason, they beat out the Mets, teams like the Mets to get to the playoffs. I'm not too sure about that will happen again. So,
Yeah. I 100%
sorry,
agree.
Reds fans, I have them in fourth place in this in Central Division. So
Yeah, and there's like we mentioned this Brewers getting second place in the division. I have them going 86,
yeah,
76. And
same.
that's mainly because, like I said, they lost Freddie Peralta. I think that's going to be the biggest hit.
Mm.
Everything else remained largely unchanged, I think, from last season in terms of the rotation. Their lineup is pretty much unchanged from last season going into the 2026 season. But I think not having Freddie Peralta, like I said, is going to reduce the amount of quality games that they're going to have, and it's going to take a hit in the record.
Yeah, I have a few more wins than you do. I have them at 89 and 73. It's just like again, I think they're gonna still have that Brewer magic.
Yep.
I don't know what they're eating over there in Wisconsin, but it's just like I
It's
feel
all
like
that cheese, man.
it's all the cheese. It's the cheese. It's the Packers. Obviously, they're affecting that whole city, and it's a great sports city. Don't like it's an awesome sports city. I've driven
Milwaukee's a
through.
great sports city.
It's a great sports town. I've driven through like close to Milwaukee and parts of Green Bay. I mean, that whole state loves their sports. But
Yep.
the Brewers, I just feel like I mean, I did this. I think I did this a couple years ago where I was not high on the Brewers, and here they won the division. So, I mean, they could freaking win the Central for all I know. But even though I have the Cubs win that division, I have the Brewers again in second place. I actually have them winning one of the wild card spots. So they're
Okay.
going to be getting back to the playoffs. So yeah, so Brewers for me, they're in second place in that division. So yeah.
Yeah. And then we have, I think, Pirates and Cardinals. We can kind of talk them in a bunch. I have the Pirates in fourth, above the Cardinals in last. I think the Cardinals
Yeah.
lose the division this year. Pirates, I have them going 77 to 85. Cardinals 63 and 99. I I think the Pirates, they're going to improve it a little bit. I think they have enough to help Paul Skeens. We didn't see it as much today. Paul Skeens pitched 0.2 innings today.
Taken out in the first inning.
Yeah, they
Opening
pulled him
day,
after
yeah.
2 outs. He gave up 5 runs in the first inning.
Yeah.
Now, that's not evident of this Cy Young winner. It's
Yeah,
like,
people are already saying that he's Kurt. I'm like, dude, he's gonna be fine.
yeah,
It's
he'll be
just,
fine. Opening
WBC
day,
hangover. Yeah,
yeah.
WBC hangover. I think.
I think we're gonna see a lot of shakiness from a lot of players
Mm-hmm.
starting starting the season. But I think Paul Skeens is gonna lock it in. I think the offense has enough to get him a couple more wins this season. Again, have them going a little bit better than last season, but they're still not a playoff team. They do not have enough to be a playoff team in the slightest. Same thing with the Cardinals. I think trading away Nolan Arenado it's just going to destroy that franchise.
Yeah.
Arenado was their best player. I think objectively their best player, and
Mm-hmm.
losing him is going to hurt the Cardinals greatly.
Yeah, I just feel like it's again. I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm. Well, you had the Pirates in third. I have them in fourth. No, I had the Reds in fourth. I had the Pirates in third. But basically, they're gonna be the Reds and the Pirates are gonna be close. I think the Pirates are gonna be like a right around a 500-ish team. Again, today's opening day. It doesn't mean that the Pirates will be this bad. Of course, they didn't play very well. Their offense, I think, will improve, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
In the podcast, but I think it's just like the rotation, other than Paul Skeens, it's not. I mean, it's not very strong.
Yeah.
I think they have what's his name, Jared Jones. I think that's his name. I like him as well. But it just there's some question marks still with that team. Again, I love that they spent money finally. I
Yeah.
think it's the most that they've ever spent in their franchise history, which is kind of sad when you think about it. But it's like, okay, finally, Bob Nutting was able to open his wallet for his team and the fans. So, but yeah,
Yes.
Pirates, they're going to be a 500 team. I think they're going to be somewhat of a fun team to watch. But again, that Central Division from like three on down, I don't think it will be very strong. And then I agree with you, Mason. Cardinals, they're going to be bad this year. They're
Yeah.
going to be definitely a 90 plus loss team, maybe even close to 100 losses this year. I actually have them right around like 68 wins and 94
Okay, so
losses.
a little
So
bit better than what I
a little
predicted
bit
them.
better than I think some people are expecting them, just because I feel like they still have some younger players. Of course, they still have Nolan Gorman. They still have, let's see here. Of course, I just remembered that they don't have Wilson Contreras anymore. Let's
Yep.
not forget that. And now he's in Boston. But the Cardinals do have a few younger players. And again, another subtraction for that team was Brendan Donovan going to the Mariners.
Yep.
So, yeah, I obviously we already know how bad their offense was last year, and here they still had Arenado on that team, but this offense is going to be horrendous. I think this year,
Yeah.
the pitching staff might be even worse. Who knows? Part of me says maybe I should have gone a little bit higher on the loss total to 104 or 114. I don't know, but yeah, there's no question the Cardinals are the worst team in this division,
Yeah.
and it just feels like this is a new era, and it's not going to be a great era for the next few years for St. Louis Cardinals fans. But
Yep.
I just feel like they're just going to have to go through this rebuild
Yep.
because it's something that they've needed to do. And I feel like for the last few years, they've just refused to do so because they're afraid of that. And now they are facing the uphill challenge.
Yep.
So they have to commit to it. And I guess they're now doing it. So, yeah, Cardinals, they got fifth place.
Yeah. And now, finally, last but definitely not least, the National League West, the best division in baseball. We love the National League
Absolutely. I
West.
agree with
We
you,
love the
Mason.
National League West. We'll start off with the Diamondbacks. I have them having the same record last season, 80 and 82. Again, it's one of those teams where it's like, yes, they added Arenado. I just still
Hmm.
don't think they have enough.
Yeah.
They had the playoff
Yeah.
run in 2023, and I just don't think that Diamondbacks still have enough pieces to make it back to full strength to be a dominant playoff team.
I'll say it again. The Diamondbacks are the definition of a mid team.
Yes.
Literally. The bullpen is one of the worst. Arguably, again, I think a lot of people have been ranking the Diamondbacks bullpen as, again, the Rockies. We'll get to them, but like it's just this
Bottom
bullpen
five bullpen.
literally. And then they brought back Paul Sewald to try to bring back some of that magic from 23. I don't get that move. I really don't. Even Diamondbacks fans weren't big fans of that
Yeah.
move. Go check on Twitter. I'm on there quite a lot. Go follow me on Twitter, by the way. Um, but yeah, this is a definition of 500 team. I mean, okay, you brought in Arenado, I like that, but at the same time though, Arenado is declining, guys. I mean, I feel like
Yep.
again we mentioned it last time. Very much feels like an Evan Longoria type of move that they did in 23 to just add some veteran presence,
Yep.
maybe try to add some offense. Again, Arenado is very used to the NOS, of course, when he spent years with my Rockies.
Yep.
But I just feel like this is like okay, their lineup is kind of fun. You're just hoping that Corbin Carroll comes back healthy.
Yep.
He's been battling
Corbin
with injuries.
Carroll
Yeah.
is. I watched a video on this on YouTube a couple weeks ago. Corbin
Yeah.
Carroll generates the most runs in the entire
Mhm.
MLB.
Yeah,
Uh,
if
uh,
he's healthy, I mean,
yeah,
you could have a really good team, but it's just like he
he's
hasn't
not the
been lately.
fastest runner in the league, but his smart base running allows him to generate runs for the
Mhm.
Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. I can't remember the exact title of the video, but it's like he clears Eddie De La Cruz in terms of runs generated per 9 innings.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
insane how incredibly efficient Corbin Carroll is as a baseball player. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love. I don't like the Diamondbacks just because there was um back in like elementary school. I think this was like 2015, I think. The Dodgers had Zach Greinke for a period of time, and then
Yeah,
he got
yeah, and
traded
then
to the
switched to
Diamondbacks,
Air
and for that
yeah.
reason, I hated the Diamondbacks because they had Zach Greinke instead of the Dodgers. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess I still have some of that animosity from then. But I
Yeah.
love watching Corbin Carroll play baseball. He's a fantastic
Yeah.
baseball player. Like I love the club that the Diamondbacks have. I just like I said, Steve, they're the definition of mid.
Yeah, their rotation. I'm listen. I'm glad that they brought back Gallen and Merrill Kelly. They needed that because if they didn't bring those guys back, you're looking at like a really bad rotation,
Yeah.
and you're probably looking at another 10, maybe 20 losses here. But yeah, they're a mid team. They're not going to be a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination. It kind of makes me feel bad for Arenado because again, when he left Colorado, he was like, I want to be toward greener grass, get back to the playoffs more times. And here yet, Arenado
Yep.
has still to this day, Mason has more playoff appearances or no playoff wins as a Rocky than he had when he did it was as a Cardinal.
Yep.
So, yeah, again, Diamondbacks, you're in third place for me. They're mid. So,
Yeah. I think I didn't mention it, but I have the Diamondbacks in fourth.
okay.
Um,
Okay. I definitely could see that. Yeah.
yeah. But the next team, the Rockies. That's where Steven and I both from Colorado. I, I root for them because I live in Colorado. So I've become a fan of pretty much all of the Denver sports teams, despite the
Mhm.
fact that I'm mainly an LA sports fan, born and raised. But the Rockies, I have them winning over 60 games this
Let's
season.
go.
Yay! I have them going
We
63 and
have
99.
peaked.
I
Yeah.
truly think it's not going to be a good year for the Rockies, but it's going to be a better
Yeah.
year for the Rockies. I think the Rockies posted it today or yesterday, kind of like their start of the season promo video or whatever. I was tearing up watching.
Hmm.
It was like, oh my gosh, they're
Yeah,
fired
dude.
up. They're ready to play baseball. Like
Yeah.
I'm excited for what the Rockies have. They have so
Yeah.
many great young guys. They have Tovar, who won the WBC with Venezuela, unfortunately
Hmm.
knocking out the United States. But
Rip.
it's like
Yeah.
I I think that Tovar is bringing that winning mentality back to the Rockies after winning with Venezuela in the WBC. He's bringing that victory mindset to this young team. They have so many young players. There's so much great talent on this Colorado
Hmm.
team, and I'm excited to see what the Rockies are going to do this season. I really hope that they surprise me.
Yeah.
I have them winning over 60 games, but I would love it if they surprise me and they win 70 games. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it would be amazing as a Colorado Rockies fan who they haven't been a good team since 2018.
2018. Yeah.
Uh, it's like and they were it feels like their prime was 2007 to like 2010 or like
Hmm.
2011. Like that was their
Yeah.
prime. And they're just
Tulo,
like
Helton. Yeah.
exactly. But it's like
Cargo. Yeah.
I think that there is so much potential with this team, and I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that video too. It's like climb higher or no, like the climb starts here, whatever the
Yeah,
thing they were
yeah.
using. But it's really cool. I don't know if you saw on Instagram, but they're putting like billboards around the ballpark at Coors Field, which I'll be going to opening day next week against the Phillies. I'm so excited. It'll be my second opening day ever. I went last year. But yeah, no, Mason, it just feels like this team is excited again. Like not only the
Yes.
team, but like the ownership, not the ownership, I shouldn't say the ownership. I should say the front office, the new front office. Oh man, I just hurt myself there. No, the front office, like DePodesta, and then we brought in Josh Burns from the Dodgers, your Dodgers organization,
Yep.
who was higher up, like pretty much right beneath Andrew Friedman.
Oh yeah.
Andrew
He's going to
Friedman
be
loved him.
excellent for the Rockies front office.
Yeah, and I mean the Rockies, and for those who are listening or watching, for those who are like, well, nothing's going to really change because of the guy at the top. Well, I actually kind of disagree with you because again, we've seen in some interviews that Dick Monfort maybe not audibly has said this, but Dick Monfort has taken a step back from baseball operations, which we see some other ownerships in around baseball, with the Reds or the Pirates or the Guardians or the Nationals. They're very much invested in baseball decision making when they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Dick Monfort, I think we're seeing him take a step back, which is something that we've been dying to see for so
Yes.
many years. And so now D. Podesta, again, I know he worked with the Cleveland Browns organization, and here, I just think it's funny that people think that he was the reason why the Browns were bad. And when you look at he was a part of the front office, but he wasn't the guy. He wasn't even the GM or
Yeah.
the owner. So it's just like D. Podesta, by the way, again, worked for the Dodgers when the Dodgers, again, they weren't as great, but he was able to build some really good competitive Dodger teams during the mid 2000s.
Yep.
Again, most notably, Mr. Moneyball, and with the A's. And again, that's why that movie was made with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill.
Yep.
And so it's just like there's
Shout
a
out to
lot of hype.
Moneyball.
Again, maybe Moneyball, yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time. After probably Field of Dreams, I would say. Again, we'll do Mason. One thing we should definitely do is like do our favorite baseball movie podcast.
I need to watch more then. I need to get on that.
We'll get on that. So again, stay tuned for that episode, everybody. But no, all I have to say for the Rockies is that I have them again. I have them in fifth place.
Yep.
But if for those who have watched our Rockies Now podcast, our guy Chris has done a great analysis. He's great into numbers. If you look at WAR, Mason, the Rockies got rid of at least was it negative 10 or 11 in WAR
Wow.
combined
Wow.
from this past year, and they've added, I think, was it close to 20 WAR, and they've from what they kept and what they've added, close to net plus 20 WAR.
That's
If you look
incredible.
at that, you're talking about at least around 20 wins. That's the minimum.
Yeah,
So you're
20
looking
more
at a team
wins.
that could,
Yeah.
so you're looking at a team that could potentially, again, we're probably looking at another 100 loss season at least. But if you're looking at a minimum, you could see the Rockies win at least maybe 65-ish games or more.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see the Rockies potentially win 70. You're talking like 30, 40 plus win improvement from what
Yeah.
we had
I
last
was saying
year.
last season they went 43 and 119. It,
Yeah,
like it it would
yeah.
be amazing to see them win 20 more games.
I mean, you can't get much worse than last year, Mason. It just
No,
last year was just like
a
it was from
historically awful
bad.
season.
Yeah. Yeah, and here there was a good like a couple weeks last year where again that one week where we played against the Pirates, we won like 18-17, whatever it was, 17-16.
Yep.
But like it just, I feel like Mason, this is a new era for Rockies baseball.
Oh yeah.
And I think you agree
I
with that.
totally agree with
It
you.
just it just feels like this is completely different from the Bill Schmidt era when he was just a puppet for Dick Monfort,
Yep.
a yes man for him. Where now we actually have people in place even though it hasn't been spread across the baseball media because nobody really cares about the Rockies. Again, when you're a worst team in baseball, nobody really pays
Yeah.
attention. Nobody really gives their crap. But I think the Rockies are going to be one of the, if not the like, teams that will completely make a turnaround
Oh yeah.
this year. I feel like the Rockies could be kind of like the 2023. Again, I don't have the Rockies in the playoffs by any
No.
stretch of the imagination, but you look at the Diamondbacks when they were, in the 2021, 2022
Yeah.
era, right before they went to the World Series. Nobody saw the Diamondbacks in the World Series in 2023.
Yep.
And I feel like the Rockies are kind of like that team of like nobody's really talking about them, but they're going to make massive improvements this
Oh yeah.
year when it comes
100%.
to performance. And they won't have to, I mean, there's still going to be some losses where we might lose 9-1 or 10-1, but I feel like there's going to be a lot more competitive games, and the Rockies
Yes.
are actually going to be able
I
to hit
agree.
better and
Well, I
pitch.
mean,
Maybe
and
the pitching won't be great,
what
but
team
yeah.
doesn't lose 9-1, 10-1? That happens to every team, regardless of how good they are.
Exactly. Dodgers,
Yep.
even the best teams in baseball do that.
Yep.
So, anyways, we got to move on here and finish this up. But yeah, I'm going to put the Rockies in fifth.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what happens this year. Again, follow us at Rockies Now.
Yes. Yes. Go check out
Reporter
Rockies
Baseball.
Now. Fantastic work over there. And go check out Elevated Pole Sports as well. Just cover all the Denver teams as well. We're a little bit more baseball now, obviously a little bit more partnered with Rockies Now. But still go check that out. We love the people over at Elevated Pulse Sports.
Yeah.
All right. Go Dodgers. That's the next team we're talking about. The Dodgers are the only team I have winning over 100 games. I think
Yeah,
I think they do it. I genuinely think the Dodgers win over 100 games this season. I have more specifically 102-60 is the record
Yeah.
for the Dodgers this season. I mean, there hasn't been a 100 win team in baseball in I got it. Well, since 2023. 2023 was ridiculous. The Dodgers had 100 wins, the Braves had 104, and the Orioles had 101. Yes, the Orioles won 100 games in 2023. I think people forget about that the Orioles won 101 games in 2023.
Yeah. Literally right after they've had like that decade-long stretch where they just could not stop losing 100 games.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the Dodgers, again, I think there's definitely a lot of bias because I am a Dodgers fan, but I think the front office just did so much to add necessary pieces to bolster the rest of the team. Yes, we've had a great team for years, like for a very long time. I think the Dodgers are one of the most consistent baseball teams, just consistently making playoffs. We've won 12 out of the last 13 division titles. The Dodgers have.
Yeah.
So I think this is the year that the Dodgers go back and win 100 games. I have the Dodgers winning the World Series again. I truly think the three-peat happens. Again, obviously I'm just riding the back-to-back high. I'm a Dodgers fan. My hat says otherwise, but I figured I'd wear a different hat today instead of my Dodgers hat. But Edwin Diaz, Kyle Tucker, like those two pieces are exactly what the Dodgers needed coming out of last season. And it's like, obviously, yes, the Dodgers still won the division, but the last month and a half was scary. The bullpen looked like it was about to fall apart. Like the bullpen looked like it would implode at any moment during the last month and a half of the regular season last season. And I think bringing in Edwin Diaz to close out games is a brilliant move.
Mhm.
Bringing in Kyle Tucker to boost the outfield. Thank goodness he plays right field because Teoscar Hernandez cannot play right field. Thank goodness Teo's back in left. Hallelujah. Um, but it's like you have that strong bat, you have the strong pitcher. The Dodgers are unstoppable.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't. I mean, the Dodgers didn't make the most flashiest moves in baseball, in my opinion. I mean, other than maybe Kyle Tucker, but like they made the moves that were needed that make sense,
Yes.
right? Like it's just like you're not going to go out and get Boba Bichette because obviously I don't think you necessarily
We
need
have
him.
Mookie Betts.
But, I mean, it would have been cool, but like you don't necessarily need Boba Bichette. And plus, there again, Boba Bichette, he's had some history
Yep.
recently with injuries and everything. So it's just like you needed guys that have produced, that can produce in
Yep.
Dodger Stadium. And now they're calling it. Are they changing the name of the stadium, Mason? Because I don't know if you saw that.
What?
Like yeah, I think they were changing the name to something. You would have to check that up, but it's
I'm
just like
looking this up right now. We cannot call
like
it anything else but Chavez
y-
Ravine Stadium. That has been its name since its inception.
it-
Just a quick note from editing me on this. It's called Uniqlo Field at Dodger Stadium, so it's just one of those sponsoring things. Uniqlo is like a Japanese clothing company. I think it's just one of those business moves. So Uniqlo is paying the Dodgers organization money to have their sign at the back of the field, kind of a thing. The money that they're paying them covers Freddie Freeman's salary or something like that. But it's just a sponsorship thing. Nothing changed. I think I overreacted a little bit when Steven told me this because I didn't know exactly what was happening. It's just one of those naming things, kind of like Camden Yards at Orioles Park or whatever the exact title is. It's a similar thing where it's just kind of one of those sponsorship things where they're sponsoring the grass field itself, but the stadium itself is still called Dodger Stadium. It's Uniqlo Field at Dodger Stadium.
my gosh, but yeah,
Anyways,
no, it's just yeah, but like yeah, the Dodgers, man. Again, I have them winning the division. I actually have them a little bit more wins than you do, Mason. I have them at
really,
105. I have them at
105.
105.
Okay.
For a second, I was debating maybe closer to 110. Because again, this team is just it's built the right way.
It
The
is
Dodgers
so
have the right
scary.
people. It is scary, and this is obviously a team you do not want to face. But at the same time, though, Mason, maybe they won't. I mean, it's not like they don't try during the regular season, but this is not what they're playing for. They're playing for the World Series.
Oh
They're playing
yeah,
for the repeat.
yeah,
So maybe there's a case there. Maybe I'm not saying they won't try. They're going to try. Don't get me wrong.
right.
But like they didn't get the number one seed last year in the playoffs, and guess what? They still won the World
Yep.
Series. So it's just like
Uh,
they could
the
honestly the
Dodgers were a
Dodgers might
wild
yeah.
card team last season.
Bro, so you're looking at a team. Maybe the Dodgers might actually, again, it might be closer in the NL West. Like I have, again, we'll talk about the other teams here very quickly, because we got to get out of here. But and again, the Dodgers playing like another hour or two, right, against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah,
So
they
we want to make
play
sure they do
actually
that.
in 2.5 hours as of this moment
Let's go,
in this
baby, dude.
podcast episode. The Dodgers play
NL
in
West
2.5
rivals, dude.
hours.
Dude, we can all agree there's nothing best than an NL West rivalry between like the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, Diamondbacks Rockies. It's the best. But anyways,
Just watching any of the NLS teams play against each other
it's
is
so much fun. It's
fantastic.
so much fun. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, no, it's just I think the Dodgers. I mean, that's their ceiling, 105. If I had
Yep.
to put a floor on the Dodgers, probably like maybe 94
Yeah,
wins.
yeah. I would
Just
say the
because
floor is
again,
definitely
they could care
94,
less about the
95.
regular season. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would say just because again, they could care less about the regular season. What they're playing for is October. So
yeah.
that's where I have the Dodgers. Again, winning division, no big surprise here.
Yep.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Then the next team, the Padres. I have the Padres at 87 and 75, worse than last season. I think the
Okay.
Padres
Oof.
really I don't know. The Padres are weird. Obviously, as division rivals, it's like you want to predict them doing worse than you, but it's like they're still a really good team. But it's just like they always seem to be like they always fluctuate in some way between seasons where it's like they have like a 90 win season and then they have like just barely over 80 wins kind of a thing. It's like they always seem to fluctuate. And I think this season is going to be no different. I think they're going to have kind of a little bit of a down season.
Yep.
Just a little bit worse than last season, but they're still going to be in that 2 seed for me in the
Yeah, actually,
West.
I have them being below 500. I actually have them finishing fourth in the
No
division.
way.
I am not. I obviously, like you, Mason. I
What?
hate the Padres because the Padres are like, oh yeah, we're always better than you, and it's just like we made these moves. Just like, listen, dude, I love saying this whenever I see a Padres fan on social media. Who has made the World Series more recently? The Rockies or the Padres? So,
True.
um,
It's the Rockies.
so it's the Rockies, and so I'm like, and plus, who has owned you over the last, I don't know, 5, 6 years?
The
It's the Rockies.
Dodgers.
And the Dodgers too. The Rockies and the Dodgers. I've owned you guys, so I don't want to hear. Yeah, we're gonna make the playoffs. We're gonna, go to the World Series. It's just like, listen, the Padres. They've had good seasons. They've gone close to the World Series, like in 2022.
2022. Yep.
Um,
When they
they,
beat the Dodgers in the
yeah,
NLDS, I believe it was. That's
yeah,
all
in
they
San
have,
Diego. Yeah,
though.
that's all they have though. And see, it's just like I'm not very high on the Padres this year. They brought in again. They actually signed former Dodger Walker Buehler. He's on the opening day roster, but
Boo.
it's just like it's
It's
just a bunch
okay.
of
I'm a
bench
Walker
players.
Bueller fan.
Yeah. Well, like it's just I feel like the Padres are like, again, they still have Tatis, obviously one of the best, most exciting. I hate Tatis, but I gotta respect him.
Yep.
I hate Machado.
Tatis,
I got
Machado, Cronenworth. They have great
Yeah,
players.
but it just I feel like they need to do more, and I just feel like, especially with the ownership, Peter Sadler sadly passing away recently
Well,
last year or so.
didn't they also get
It's
Nick
just
Castellanos, right?
yeah, and again, I think I mentioned in the
Clubhouse
last podcast.
cancer.
Literally, and I think his locker is right next to Tatis and Machado, or right. I mean, I'm like, dude,
They
you're spelling
that
disaster.
trio is going to be a disaster.
So, and not to mention Machado and Tatis have had issues before. I just do not like that clubhouse. I do not like that rotation. And I mean, they still have Michael King, but still, like Michael King, he
Well,
had
I
a
mean,
couple bad starts last year.
I think really the
Yeah,
reason I still have them being really solid despite a lot of clubhouse issues because they have Mason Miller. They got Mason Miller, one of the
yeah,
best relievers in the game. I draft I always end up drafting like players from teams I absolutely despise, but it's like I draft them because I want to win in fantasy baseball. You know what I mean? It's like, and
right,
Mason Miller
yeah,
is one of those players where it's like he's a fantastic closer. He's a fantastic relief
yeah.
pitcher. You know, and I that's still why I have the Padres in the second spot in the NLS is because I think they have good pitchers, and I think that's
Yeah.
what's really going to help them.
Okay, yeah. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that. I just have them being like a 78, 79 win team.
Dang.
So yeah, I'm not as high as you are. And for those who are watching or listening, let us know what your predictions are. Just like comment
Absolutely. Leave some
below and
comments on the
let
YouTube
us know.
video. Let us know.
And yeah, if I'm wrong, Padres fans, you have the right to you have the right to say whatever you want in the comments when the season ends and prove me wrong.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I had the Padres in fourth place. So yeah,
That's
sorry,
crazy.
but
So
I'm
so
not
I'm gonna
sorry.
guess
Screw
in
the
that
Padres.
you have
I
the
hate the Padres.
do you have the Giants in second then?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I have the Giants in third.
Okay.
Going actually the opposite of the Diamondbacks, 82 and 80, right above 500.
Mm.
I just think just one game better than last season. Uh, but the Giants again are really kind of another team, just like the Diamondbacks. So it's the Diamondbacks and Giants are those the two mid teams of the NL
Yeah.
West, where it's like
Yeah.
yes they can put up competitive games, yes they have competitive players, but it's like they haven't really done much. It's
They
like
haven't moved the needle. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. We're just like they sometimes make it to playoffs, sometimes they're out. It's like they aren't really
Mm.
moving the needle towards success, but they're not falling into failure either.
Yeah. I mean, the Giants got Luis Ariz, who I think is definitely gonna contend
I
for
think it's
another
a great
batting title.
addition.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just their offense though. It still concerns me. I mean, again, I know it's opening day, but they got shut out last night. Again,
Yep.
I know they were playing against Max Fried and the Yankees, but I mean, people are acting like the Giants are going to win the division or like, have a 90 plus win. I don't see a 90 plus win team in this Mason for the Giants.
No,
However,
I
I do
agree.
have I have the Giants winning right around 83, 84 wins. Again, like I said, I have them in second place, but I have them being drastically different from the Dodgers. This is
Yeah.
not like this. The Giants are at best a wild card team at best. But really and realistically, I just feel like the Giants, like the Diamondbacks, like you said, Mason, they're a 500 team for me. They're very mid.
Mm.
The rotation, Logan Webb, he's been iffy. He didn't look all that great yesterday. Again, I know it's opening day and probably
Well,
WBC
I mean,
hangover as well.
I'll pull it up real quick. I think Logan
Yeah.
Webb had a solid game. Um,
I mean, he wasn't bad, but it's just
yeah,
like,
he had a
those
solid
those
game
couple
yesterday.
blips. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
he, yeah. I mean, obviously, he still gave up 7 runs, but
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna still probably have a great year. He's gonna contend for the Cy
exactly.
Young,
But I
like
mean,
he's
they
done
have
every
Logan
year.
Webb.
But
They
yeah,
have Landon Rupp, Robbie Ray, Tyler, uh, Molly. I think that's how you say his last name.
Molly,
Molly,
yeah,
Caleb Killian, Adrian Hauser. Those are the guys on this in the rotation for the Giants as of opening day. And they have a lot of dogs on their offense. You got Willie Adames,
hmm
Luis
yeah,
Arias, who I think is going to be a great fit for San Francisco, Matt Chapman, Casey Schmidt, Kristen Kost. Like a lot of great infielders, a lot of great bats. Like they just a lot of people who want to play good baseball, but again, I just don't think they're getting past a lot of the other phenomenal teams across the MLB.
Yeah. Like especially in like the NL East, again, like I have three potential playoff teams in the NL East with,
Yep.
the Phillies, the Braves, the Mets. So,
Yep.
yeah, and then again, you have the Dodgers who like I have them as high as 105. So you're talking about that's going to play in because again,
Yep.
National League West teams play each other, in division teams play each other more than the other
Yeah, in division
divisions in
teams
the
play
others. So,
each
yeah.
other I
6 times
it's
now?
16 times.
Yeah.
I
Where it
believe
used to be like 20, it used to be like 24 or whatever it was,
it's
or whatever. I forget. Yeah.
it's somewhere
Yeah.
between like 12 and 16 based if it's like a 4 game series or a 3 game series, but
Yeah.
they meet
Yeah.
twice at each ballpark. So
Yeah,
like the
where originally,
Dodgers
yeah.
play the Rockies 4 separate series, twice in Coors Field, twice at Chavez
Mhm.
Ravine. Um, but it's like so. Especially since we have the Dodgers way up high, it's like the Giants are definitely going to be affected by that. They're going to be affected by teams like
Mhm.
the Phillies, the Braves, the Mets, affected by teams
Mhm.
like the Cubs and the Brewers. And then when they go play a couple AL teams, you have teams like the Mariners, the Astros, Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Tigers, and Guardians. It's like a lot of really strong teams that I just don't
Mhm.
think the Padres are always going to be able to push past.
Right, exactly. But yeah, overall, I just think that this whole like, especially the National League, I'm excited to see what happens. But I feel like the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Cubs, they're going to be like really controlling the narrative in the National League,
Right.
obviously. And I think if like again for my hot take, I have the Nationals being worse than the Rockies. I actually think the Nationals will probably looking at the standings in my predictions, Nationals will be the only 100 loss team in the National League. In the American League, I don't think I have a 100 loss
Neither
team
do I.
in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
I don't think I
Nationals the
do.
only team I have losing
Yeah.
100 games across the entire
hmm
MLB, and the Dodgers are the only team I have winning 100 games across the
I think
entire
I agree with
MLB.
you, Mason, because if I'm looking at again in my National League standing predictions in terms of record, I think I only have the Dodgers as the only 100 win team.
Yep.
In the American League, I think I'm looking at it right now. Again, I didn't do exactly record predictions, but I don't really see a 100 win team in the American League. I don't think the Tiger,
I think the only team that might be able to do it is maybe the Mariners. I
maybe the
think the
Mariners.
Mariners
Yeah,
maybe
yep,
could get
yep.
100 wins, but I don't think I see
mhm.
that happening.
Yeah, and then like I said earlier when we first started, the Tigers, I see them more of an early 90 win team
Yeah.
ish. It's just because that division is not as
Same thing
strong,
with the
and
Yankees,
then
Blue Jays. That's their
yeah,
ceiling.
yeah, just because of how competitive that division is, and I like the Orioles. I don't see them losing 100 like having
Nope.
100 losses because if they were, like generally, if you have a 100 loss team, more than likely you're probably gonna have a 100 win team in that division.
Yep.
More than likely, I mean not always, but more than likely you do. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think right now the only 100 win team for me and you would be the Dodgers, and then the only 100 loss team would be the Nationals. So
Yeah.
yeah.
100%. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this episode, the 2026 team record predictions. If you guys enjoyed this episode of Baseball Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a review wherever you're watching or listening. It helps out a ton. Leave a comment if you're watching the video on YouTube. Share this with your friends. We cover baseball stuff every single week, or at least we're trying to every single week. That's the goal at the very least. We love baseball. We're baseball fans here, and we're just excited to bring you news, our thoughts and opinions on baseball coverage every single week. And you guys feel free to share your thoughts as well. Again, I said this last episode, and I'll close with this. We're looking for help in any capacity here at this podcast. If you want to maybe help host, Steven gets a little bit busy here and there. I'm typically less busy than he is. So if you want to, apply to be a host on the show, would love to have you. We would also love to have people who are, who have a know-how for video editing this type of content. Again, Steven and I don't really have that type of time or capacity to solely focus on that, but I do it because I have to.
Yeah.
So if you in any way, if you don't want to be a face on the show, but you would love to help with the production side of the show, reach out. You can just
Yeah.
I believe our
Contact us.
email
Yeah.
should be on the YouTube page, so you can
hmm
reach out to us there. I'm working on getting an Instagram page set back up again, as well as a Twitter page. So once
hmm
those are set up, I will be sure to include those as links for you guys to reach out to us as well.
Just like follow us, subscribe to us. We actually, again, we have like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you want to listen to our podcast, if you are not a big video watcher guy or girl, say, hey, just like watch or listen to us on
Yep,
Spotify or Apple
absolutely.
Podcasts.
This
We
is the type
upload
of
weekly.
podcast
So
very easy to turn it on and
yeah,
listen to it on your drive
yeah,
to work every morning on
yeah.
the way back from work in the evening. Again, like Steven
Yeah.
said, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're also on YouTube as well. Links in the description for all of those things if you're watching on YouTube. Not
Mhm.
sure how that works for the podcast side
I
of
got you.
things.
I got you. I
Steven knows
got you.
that. Steven knows that. He's got the links and whatnot for the podcast side of things. But yeah, again, thank you guys just for watching, listening, however you enjoyed this episode today. And we will catch you guys next week. Peace out.